Hey everybody, Kyle Goth here from GoatFilmReviews.com and the Goat Film Reviews YouTube channel, and I've got my first reaction to the new film, the Garfield Movie. I believe this is directed by Mark Dindal, who had also done The Emperor's New Groove. I think that was the Disney movie he'd done. Starring Chris Pratt as Garfield, and Sam Jackson plays his dad, Vic the cat. It's hard to remember specific details because this movie suffers from an extreme lack of creativity. I'll tell you right now, I did not like the movie. I wouldn't consider myself a die-hard fan of Garfield. I grew up with some of the cartoons, and I read the comics when I saw books I could rent. I never really was in depth on it, but from what I know of Garfield and what I remember about reading about him, this movie does very little justice to whatever that was. Now, of course, we judge the movie based on the finished product, not based on what we expect to be of that. But this is an adaptation of Garfield, and I would say that if you're looking for an adaptation of Garfield, I don't think you're going to find a lot great here. The movie does have some great moments in it. I think the emotional beats of the film, which is odd to say for a Garfield movie, but the emotional beats of the movie really got to me. And maybe it's just the place that I'm at in my life, the things that I've dealt with the past couple of months, they really hit me. You know, the emotional connection between John and Garfield as a kitten really connected with me. The emotional moments between Garfield and his father, Vic, really connected with me. But outside of those emotional moments, those kind of tear-stretching kind of beats, the movie is very generic. And I think I've seen this criticism around elsewhere, but it does feel like someone found just a generic children's animated film and then just snuck Garfield in there. Just removed whatever the main character was and put Garfield, because the whole plot of the film involves Vic, his father, being a thief, and they're going to rob or heist a bunch of milk out of a milk farm. And it's just, I don't know, it's just so generic. None of that really feels like the character to me. We get so little time with Odie and with John, and those interactions. The stuff at the house really feels like whoever wrote this film has never had a cat, for one thing, because it seems like they don't understand the inner workings of a cat, and Garfield is kind of classic cat. His addiction to Italian food, it comes up, but it doesn't come up that often. It's not really part of his character. It's almost like they opened the movie up with a bunch of stuff that was very Garfield-centric so that they could immediately push that out of the way and just get to the generic thing. This feels like, I know it's a weird comparison, it feels like the later Hellraiser movies, where they just had another movie and they put Pinhead in there and just tried to pass it off as one. And we all watched the film and knew. And that's kind of what this movie feels like. I didn't laugh at all. In fact, I'll say this, a lot of people will say when you're reviewing a movie that they believe is, just for kids, it doesn't matter what the adults think as long as the kids are having fun. I was at a screening that was packed with children. I didn't hear a lot of laughs. I did not hear a lot of real engagement with the screen. Now, I'm sure they still enjoyed the movie, but usually when I'm at a movie that is with a lot of children in the audience, I hear more laughter than I heard at this movie. I really think it is time that we reckon with the fact that we have to stop putting big names as voice actors in these movies. I don't think Chris Pratt is a big sell for this movie. I don't think Sam Jackson is. I don't think Snoop Dogg voicing a character named Snoop Cat is all that big of a draw for this movie. No one's well, I wasn't going to see Garfield, but Snoop Dogg is voicing a cat in it. My go back to that is, I think there was passable voice work in this movie. Not from Chris Pratt. I think he is doing less work in this movie than he did in Mario, where he kind of had an Italian accent. I don't know why we keep putting him in these movies. He's not good. He's not really even trying to do anything unique with it. Most of the voice work in this film is people just sounding like they do, and it's why do we need that? I believe Harvey Gillen from What We Do in the Shadows voices Odie. I guess that works, but he never speaks. He just arfs. So I don't know what the point of putting him in the movie would be. Why are we giving a ton of money to one actor who's not trained in voice work instead of throwing some good money at an actor who's capably trained in voice work? In the 90s, we had voice actors in these movies, and now it's just we have actors. Voice acting is a different beast than regular acting. I've spoken to voice actors who said this is not the same thing. You can do both. It is very possible and very capable to do both. but it is not the same thing. And I think that's the biggest problem that a lot of these movies have, is that there's just a lack of character in the characters when it comes to that. So overall, I did not care for the Garfield movie. I was disappointed. Like I said, there were some emotional beats to it, but this is a very bland story. It is an unfunny movie, and I feel like miscasting just in the acting range, especially with Chris Pratt. I do not think he could carry this movie as Garfield. He didn't sound like Garfield. At no point did I think I was watching Garfield. And that's disappointing to me, because I think that this movie has an uphill battle in the sense that young people probably aren't as aware of Garfield as they would have been. We haven't had a movie in like 20 years. It's not like they do Garfield holiday specials on TV like they do with the Peanuts. I know they exist, but they're not like at the forefront. I don't know exactly who this movie is for, but it's in an uphill battle if it's trying to use that IP in order to gain some recognition. But at the very least, it did have some interesting product placement. Every time they mentioned Olive Garden, I almost got a chuckle out of that, because it's a fairly clever product placement. So anywho, let me know your thoughts on the Garfield movie down below in the comments section. While you're down there, please like and subscribe. There are 2 free things you can do that help support the channel immensely, and you never miss new episodes of the show as they drop. You can also find goatfilmreviews.com for my many written reviews. You can find Goat Film Reviews on Facebook. You can follow me personally at Almighty Goatman on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Threads. And you can find my show, Kyle and Nick on Film, that I co-host with Nick Plotachuk from the St. Paul Filmcast. We have new episodes of that show every single week. Go ahead and check out those links down below, and we'll see you next time. Bye.